Are there everybody out in the shop with like iPads, or how are they entering all this information in?
Pen and paper, and then we take it back to the office and input. So we're still doing a little bit old school style. But the reason for that, though, is we've thought about this. We've tried the whole idea of having an iPad or an iPhone or something else, but we're dealing with machines that are less than a pound all the way up to 4,000 pounds. An iPad is not going to sustain or be able to survive a 30-pound bearing that falls over and hits it. So we're like, we're going to keep this pen and paper. It's the easiest. We don't have to worry about it. You can always reprint a page. You can, you don't have to worry about paper so much.
Yeah.
And ink, neither with that either. So it's quick and easy. And then usually the technician will enter it in later on, but that way they have all the information for them.
Yeah. Welcome to the Systems Edge podcast. This is a show where we talk about operations with people like my guest today, Martin Engster from Centerline. But we talk about things which typically are not talked about in the open, or maybe they're at a coffee shop, or maybe it's talked about in a boardroom. But a lot of us don't get to hear these conversations, and so that's what this show's about. We're gonna try to ask some of those questions about what works, what doesn't work. And like I said, my guest is Martin. Martin, thanks for being our guest today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Glad to have you. So I always start off the show by asking my guest to take and tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, what you guys do at Centerline, and why don't we start there?
Sounds good. So again, name is Martin Engster. Work here at Centerline. I'm the vice president and owner alongside with my brother. What we do is we are basically a CNC repair facility. So what does that mean? That means when you have your CNC machines, the big ones, there's a motor inside, which is the spindle. That's the part that actually does all the work inside the CNC machine, and we repair those. So we've taken that and we've actually gone a little bit further. So we also not just repair them, but we also sell new products alongside for the spindle. We help set up systems or whatever else as well. So I consider that kind of like our second leg. But now we've also developed our third leg, which is we manufacture parts as well. So that actually started off with we used to manufacture parts for for spindles or whatever else that weren't no longer manufactured. So we couldn't get spare parts anymore. So we were kind of like, okay, wait a minute. We got to figure out how to solve this problem so we can still do the repair. And to do so, we have to make some of these parts. So we can reverse engineer, design the parts, make the parts, and finish the repair. And now we've just taken that and grown on it, built on it a little bit more, and we manufacture parts as well. So those are our three legs.
That's cool. How big's your team there? How many people work?
We're about 22 people.
Wow. Nice.
Yep.
Very nice. How big of an area you guys cover?
International. So
really?
We've got customers all over the world. Mostly we focus because that being South America, North America, and obviously here the U.S. is the majority of the part is U.S., but we still get parts from everywhere.
Moving parts, literally. No pun intended.
Absolutely.
So what's a typical day look like for you then?
Man, well, get in and see what we got going on as far as what needs to get ordered, what needs to get processed, what purchase orders we've got, what spindles need to get taken care of, the customer support. So there's quite a bit that goes into each and every day as far as just getting the ball rolling, so to speak.
Sure. Do you how do you manage it all? Are you using custom software? Are you using
we have a
off
custom
the shelf?
software. So we started the company back in '94, and we had a system, basically like an ERP system, developed back then. It was on the Microsoft, not Word. What is it? Internet Explorer. Sorry. That's what it's based off, the system. So, and we've been using it ever since, and it tells us customer purchase orders, work orders, serialized gear, et cetera, et cetera. So we're able to keep track of conversations that we have with our customers, as well as our products, as well as the items that we have in the back, spindles we've got in house, what needs to go, et cetera, et cetera. So it takes care of just about everything for us.
The inventory, everything. Does it work? Have anything on do you guys have it connected to any other parts of your business? Like, sometimes, ERP can be connected to anything at some point if they need it to, but accounting, inventory, scheduling.
Now
Yeah.
so unfortunately, as we had our internal system developed, the company that was doing it ran out of business or went
Gotcha.
out of business. So our system is basically at like 80 to 95% done.
Mm,
And so now we've kind of had to adopt a couple other different things to be able to complete our task, so to
sure,
speak.
sure.
So
Yeah, whether it's a
we use
spreadsheet
smart
or
sheets,
not.
except
Yep.
correct. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's
That's
what
for
we do.
sure. So I was going to ask you,
We
it's funny.
tried using
What's
we
that?
tried using someone else. We tried using a system not too long ago, but we ran into so many daggone problems. We worked with them for almost 3 years. And at the end of the day, I mean, I had to make the call and was like, "Hey, you guys promised us the world, and within a reasonable time frame, and we're still here 3 years later, and we're still not done." I was like, "No, this is we're out."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're done spending
yeah,
money. I know. I hear that a lot
correct.
being in software
Yep.
ourselves. Yeah. We hear that a lot. Yeah. Actually, we're a time and material shop for that reason. Too many people who, unfortunately, that's the case. And then, if you probably just already had the custom when you started in terms of, have you looked at any other types of systems, square off the shelf systems, anything like
Yeah,
that?
we looked at a couple. I mean, I looked at Oracle. I mean, it's huge. I'm a big
Yeah.
Formula One guy.
Oh, nice.
Watching Max Verstappen race. It's Oracle everything.
Yeah. You have to
I'm
look at
like
that.
every time, like, oh, hey, wait a minute, there's that stuff. I called them up and hit them. We're a small company. We
Yeah.
can't afford that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Too big
it's
for
some of the
22
places.
people.
Correct. It's way too much. The system that we were trying to work with, we did. I feel like that we helped that company grow their portfolio. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I was just like, okay, I don't think they grasped the concept of what we were trying to get done and what we do here, which in all honesty, if you compare us to a mechanic shop who takes care of cars, we're basically a spitting image of that, just in a different industry. Different makes and models of cars. They still have parts that interconnect amongst each other, buying and selling, pairing. I mean, it's all the same stuff, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out.
Well,
So
what you guys do is so niche. I mean,
it
it is
is
so niche.
very,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of times you end up having to have custom because, there's no one's built anything because it's so
Yeah,
niche. I've seen that
correct.
before.
Mhm.
So, and all your systems, I mean, we probably talk all day about where they're disconnected or we're not working with stuff like that. But let me jump right in to keep it a little bit high level for now. What types of things excite you right now about the business or the industry or where you're going? Growth.
Well, to be honest with you, I've got next week. I'm going to the Lab Days show in Chicago,
Nice.
which is for basically a dental show. I've been going there for years, and I've seen over the last couple years, and I've talked about this in other interviews, the changes that I've seen just in the past 3 years. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this year is going to look. And what I mean by all that is the last 3 years, I've seen a lot of 3D printing things, and then also back to the tabletop CNC machine type things, And there was a big sway 2 years ago that went into 3D printing and everything else. And then when I was there last year again, it almost flipped back again.
Mm.
So I was very surprised to see how 3D printing all of a sudden wasn't the top dog as far as this is what's coming up and we're doing this. Everybody was, every fourth or fifth was old school and everything else was the 3D printing stuff. And then last year it was kind of like, okay, the numbers kind of went, not quite flipped it, but it definitely flipped where it was less of the 3D printing again. So I'm really curious to see how this year is going to be as far as 3D printing versus actual manufacturing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize dentists use CNC machine. I mean,
Yeah.
I always get a temporary
Yeah.
crown. They make it right in there with the CNC machine. I mean, a
Correct.
small
Yep.
one, right?
The little
Compared
T
to,
tops, right?
yeah,
But
but
it's
it's
the same
still
thing,
same
right?
same thing, just a small
Yep.
version of what they're using to make bigger parts with.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
Yep.
pretty cool. I know the first time
That's
I
pretty
saw
neat.
that. Yeah, you see your tooth up there on the thing and it's scanning it, and all of a sudden you can hear it start grinding, and out comes a tooth, and
And it goes, and you
he
see you
goes, see
later.
me in 3 weeks, we'll have the permanent crown ready. And now I think they
Yep.
can make permanent crowns that way. I don't even have to send it in.
Some of them do. Yep. Yep. Some of them do. Absolutely.
It's
It's
cool.
pretty wild. I mean, it definitely is. And that's the small. I mean, we're talking about teeth here. You start going to the bigger parts. I mean, it's pretty wild seeing how 3D printing has really come into effect and how it's pretty awesome. I mean, there's, you don't have as much waste. The time is not quite the same. You can definitely make a lot more complex parts. However, you just don't have quite that same accuracy or that tolerance level still with this versus that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so luckily we're still going strong.
So walk us through the life cycle of your core product or service from first touch to delivery. What's it look like?
As far as contacting customer and then getting Spindle here,
Yeah, I guess, you guys are I know you're probably doing some product and service, it sounds like.
yes, both.
So yeah, from, maybe the call comes in to, you guys send somebody out or,
It
the
all so
conversation happens and
Correct. Correct. So we either get a call come in or we have someone come in through our website. Usually everything comes through me, and then I will disperse it according to my sales crew. I will give certain things to one versus the other just because they have their own little niches that they are specialized in more so than the other one. Depending on what's going on there, they'll talk to the customer, kind of see what the spindle is, make, model, what might be ground for the initial call of, hey, what they think is wrong with it, overheating, noise, vibration, making bad parts, whatever. Then we get the spindle here as soon as possible. Depending on the time of year, we usually let the spindle sit for a little bit just to acclimate, from shipping versus when it actually gets here and stuff, so we can get proper measurements, just like wood, metal,
interesting.
fans contracts depending on temperature. So we try to get everything at the same temp, which here we're always at 72 degrees, which is always nice and comfortable. But once we get our measurements done, what we'll do first is we'll test it to make sure that we can recreate or we can see or hear what the issue might be. We'll get our initial readings, vibration, temperature, etc. on the spindle, which then at that point it'll go into disassembly. We'll take it apart meticulously because as you're going and doing the things, taking it apart, there are certain measurements that we need to take. There are certain readings that we need. And we have all that in our incoming inspection sheet. So we document all this information. Um,
That's
Once
all
we
put
have all
into that
those,
system you're talking about, right?
correct, it
Yep,
goes all into our system, correct.
yep.
Then we will actually have my brother or somebody else, one of our techs in the back, will actually go and look over the spindle with the technician who disassembled it, discuss what parts need to be replaced, what parts need to be remade, cleaned up, whatever. What size bearings do we need to get? What might have caused the failure? What might have caused the issue? What other scenario is? We get all that stuff put together into another document that we then send to our customer, and that is our quote. Hey, this is how much it's going to talk, labor cost, parts cost, um, time. This is what's wrong. This is what we found. You crashed it, you dropped it, feed rate was too high, speed was too low, whatever. Bearings crashed, overheated, scenario after scenario. We go over those things with the customer. We wait then for them to go ahead and get us a purchase order or approve the quote. Once we have the approval of the quote, we order the parts that we need to get, and then we'll start, if we need to manufacture parts, we'll start designing the parts, manufacturing them here in house. If not, that's required, then we usually clean it up and kind of get started on it. Once
Interesting.
it's done, goes through QC. So we have a clean room where all assembly goes, so everything is nice and clean and sterile. That's then once everything's assembled and put back together, once the bearings are in, everything's good and set, we'll go to QC, make sure measurements are all good, vibration's good, doesn't overheat, make sure that our run out is great, and our run out tolerances are pretty tight. So 5 microns is the worst that we'll send out. Nothing above 5 microns. If somebody doesn't know how much a micron is, usually a human hair is 100 microns.
Mhm,
So we're at 5. And
mhm.
that's the worst that we'll go. So
Right.
we look for anything below 5. When we go to the smaller spindles, for like the dental industry and stuff like that, we're looking usually at around the 2 micron or less. Yeah, and then box it up, have it inspected by our technician, make sure it's boxed up the way that he wants it boxed, make sure everything is good and secure, and then let the customer know, and it's on its way.
But the call comes in and maybe you have a CRM that handles that or you put it in. Do you put it into a CRM? People,
No, it all goes into our main system.
your main
Yeah,
system, yeah.
yep, they all
And
go into our main system. Yep,
you got a lot of touch points with your operations there, like a lot of data, a lot more than I would have guessed. A lot
yep.
of data. Is there tribal knowledge involved in that too? I mean, because you know what I mean by that? Like there's one guy that pretty much, or two people that kind of know how to do it. You lose them and you're like, oh no, now what do we do?
Yes, no. I mean, we have a system here at Centerline that we've, you know, we've been in business now for over 30 years. We've had people come and go over the time, and training them because of our niche. Because again, it's like you said, it's very, we're a small group of guys that do this.
Hmm.
We've had problems in the past, so we made sure that as we started growing and as we started getting older, we made sure that that wouldn't be the case anymore. So we always have somebody, the higher technicians, that help the younger technicians out. And as they develop more knowledge, they get basically upgraded to more difficult spindles. So that way they kind of, learn and progress and have a want to progress to learn the more complicated, tougher spindles. Yes.
Are there everybody out in the shop with like iPads, or how are they entering all this information in?
Pen and paper. Pen and paper, and then we take it back to the office
Okay.
and input. So we're still doing a little bit old school style. But the reason for that though is we've thought about this. We've tried the whole idea of having an iPad or an iPhone or something else, but we're dealing with machines that are less than a pound all the way up to 4,000 pounds. An iPad is not going to sustain or be able to survive a 30-pound bearing that falls over and hits it. So we're like, we're going to keep this pen and paper. It's the easiest. We don't have to worry about it. You can always reprint a page. You can,
Hmm.
you don't have to worry about paper so much.
Yeah.
And ink, neither with that either. So it's quick and easy. And then usually the technician will enter it in later on, but that way they have all the information for them.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep.
Just a paperwork flow. You just sit down.
Hmm.
It's almost like everybody's got their own desk. Yeah. You mentioned a call comes in, your CRM's built in, measurements goes in there. Voting's all built into that system too. Voting, shipping, everything. Wow. What's not built into it then?
The hardest part or the one downfall I have to admit to our system, the way that it's set up, is that there's no real sales aspect in the system. So in other words, we use Google Mail. We have our own,
Yep.
what is it called? Your own,
Gmail. Yeah.
Gmail account.
Yeah. Workspace, I think it's called.
Thank you. Yep, workspace. So it's, www.centerlineinc.com. My email is martin@centerlineinc.com. So it's all kind of kept together that way. So we're using that more so for our sales than anything else. Now we do have a spot under our work order, under our customer and stuff like that, where we can enter in call log notes.
Oh, yeah.
So we do that as well. So we can, we try to make sure that when we go into the customer that we know kind of what's going on for the whole
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
So if my brother wants to know what's going on, he can take a look at it. If I want to know what's going on, I can take a look at it. My sales guy, the technician, we can all take a look and see what's going on.
Yeah. It'd be nice if it was all in one hub, but you're fractured with, like you said, there's a lot of email
Correct.
back and forth that could be
Yep.
over here if it was built that way, that sort of thing. Oh, it's cool.
Yep. It would have been, and that was our big hope for the system that we're going to start using. And it had, the marketing aspect, the emails and the mass emails that you could send out, stuff like that, but didn't
Yeah.
quite work out for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, back to where you were.
Yep, back to
So
where
you
we were,
think that's
which,
going to keep you from scaling at some point, or are you able to scale as you are currently now?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've been growing slow but
Mhm.
steady. Like over COVID, a lot of companies didn't um, fare as well as we did. I want to say, I'm not saying that we were just killing it or whatever else, and definitely not the case. But that's kind of the time where we had to start looking at what can we do to offset the amount of work that was coming in.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you weren't a necessity during the COVID time, then you weren't working. Well, we're pretty much a necessity just because everything still needs to be manufactured. It wasn't being manufactured as much as it was back, in the good old days. So production went down. As production goes down, machines don't run. Machines don't run. That means they don't break
Mhm.
or break as often. And if they don't break, then I don't get to fix anything.
Right.
So during that time, we're like, okay, what can we do? And that was when we kind of started. Our third leg was the manufacturing of parts. We're like, wait a minute, we're already manufacturing parts for ourselves, for our own spindles, for our own repairs, for us, for Centerline.
Right.
What if we open that up?
Right.
And then we have a oil industry company here in town, and we live in Oklahoma. Oil industry is everywhere. So one of our friends worked at this company, or one of my friends actually worked at the company. He was like, "Hey, would you guys be interested in making some parts for me?" And I was like, "Well, why not? We're slow right now. It'd be great." So that's kind of how that ball started rolling. And during COVID, we actually started growing just because we bought a couple extra machines. We talked to a couple customers. Hey, here's our dedication to you. We're buying this machine but therefore I hope that you'll continue using us for the parts manufacturing. And it was a friendly agreement, and we've been working together with them for, well, ever since.
So,
So it's
blessing in
been
disguise. I hear
absolutely,
that a lot with COVID. A lot of
yep,
people had to, like, think out of the box a little bit, and, it took you a little further than you might have guessed in the long run. Painful in the short run,
right.
long runs. How are you marketing
Yeah,
now?
it's
You
been
said
doing
marketing's not a part of your current system, but how are you marketing then? What type of stuff do you guys do?
so mostly on social media, on our website. So we've got a company that we use for all that stuff. He's been phenomenal. Mean Advertising is what the company's named, and good friend of ours at this point, local guy here in town. So that way it was also, I did some research, did some looking. I've tried some other ones, but what I liked about him the most was just the fact of readiness and ability to come talk to us.
Yeah.
It's hard to make content or whatever you want to call it if you're not physically there. He's here, he comes in, we do videos every once in a while, this, that, and the other. He edits it, throws it on the website. I mean, he's does a very good job with it. So
I've
it's
talked
been
to people in manufacturing and people job shops and stuff like that a lot, but other than the CRM, I've never heard of somebody actually talking about their marketing system as being like put into or desired to be put into like their main system. Usually it's like,
mhm,
sales does their thing. And
yeah.
so I'm just curious, when you say it was one piece that you wish was embedded, so to speak, and now you're talking about this content guy, how would what would that look like? I'm just curious because, like, if you had, an unlimited budget and you could just make it all
Mhm.
work, what would that look like?
So again, back to the old system that we tried. As far as the sales part, I think they had that part down. It worked pretty smooth and pretty well, and they had a lot of different options to be able to do that. My advertising guy currently, or our marketing guy currently, he has access to all of this. So he actually had access to the system as well. So he had his own login. So he was able to manipulate, make those things. And the way that his mean advertising system works is you can interconnect it. So it actually worked well. Worked really well. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And then that
Now back
sort
to
of
square one.
yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a CRM piece, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of
Right.
your CRM, right?
Yep.
Just how you
Yep.
guys use it's a little unique. So, okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. So, what's keeping you awake at 2 AM these days?
What's not?
What's not? Yeah, you're running a
um,
business, the 22
no,
families
well,
to
I
feed,
mean,
right? Yeah.
correct. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you own your own business, you're always worried about keeping the lights on. So with that being said, you're always looking for more work, more jobs, more stuff to come in. And I think right now for us specifically, we just lost somebody that was big to the company. It was my dad. So we kind of had to take a step back and reassess. It's just me and my brother at this point. My son is here as well. So my son will be third generation for Centerline for the company. But it was just trying to figure out how we were going to take over the parts that my dad used to do. My dad had been in the industry for before I was born. I remember doing spindles or repairing spindles when I was 11 years old in the basement of our house with my dad. So, I remember being a kid in Germany and still going to the office with my dad, looking at, how these spindles and all this stuff, what they're making and all. I mean, it was always interesting to me. And that's where my brother also had his schooling was at GMN in Germany. So we've been a close niche family, that's been taking care of this company and everything else. And losing him was a big one. So we're still in the processes of figuring all those things out. So
Yeah.
that is the current one. 2 years ago was all that, the 3D printing stuff. I mean, that was a headache. Right now we've got a pretty good team of guys. We went through personnel changes. We've had a couple guys retire, so I pat on the back for us. We've made it to the point where we had actually two gentlemen retire from Centerline, so we're pretty milestone for us, and but that also means that's two less people.
Yeah.
You've got to find two new people.
Yeah.
So now, like you were saying about that tribal knowledge, you've got these two gentlemen that were just
Yeah.
phenomenal at what they were doing, and they did it for 20 plus years. One of them actually even longer. It was, yeah, looking for the new people to come in here. We're in a small town. We've got 25,000 people here in Ponca City. So the pool to pick from is small.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we do have a program. Centerline developed a program with the state of Oklahoma as well as the Tech that actually works with the schooling that incorporates learning at the school, at the vocational school, and learning here with us. So they're doing part-time at school, part-time actually hands-on with us. So, and that's our apprenticeship that we have, our apprenticeship program. And
Okay.
it's, we've got another, my son is in it right now. He's kind of at the, ending stages of it. And we just hired on another young fellow. Hopefully we're going to see how he does here, learning our part first a little bit to see if he's wanting to and willing to try this apprenticeship program. So that's our end goal, is to get a second person in the apprenticeship.
Very cool.
So
Very cool.
yeah,
Are you guys using AI at all? And I know a lot of people answer that with, well, Chat GPT here and there, but using it formally in any way in your business? Okay, not yet anyways,
nope,
right?
not yet.
Haven't
Anyways, yep.
found that right
I mean,
application for it.
right. Now I know that my advertising guy, Adam, he definitely probably he uses the AI stuff a lot more. So I'm sure he's using that for some of the things as far as, creating the content, putting it on and publishing it and all that stuff. I'm sure he's using that. But as far as anything else in the actual company,
Yeah.
no, not yet.
Yeah.
Chat
Yeah.
GPT, like you said, I use it a lot, but usually just for, hey, what do I say here? What do
I've
stuff
used
like
it to
that.
program
Info.
a garage door. You stand on a ladder, you need got a buttons,
Uh,
and you're like, how do I program this thing? Take a picture. It tells you what model, you put buttons to push, and you don't have to find the manual ever. But it'd be interesting in your industry if it would actually, if some of those large language models have had enough, like you could take a picture of a spindle, right? And see if it
uh,
knew what spindle am I looking
what to
at,
do,
and
right?
see if it could, yeah,
That'd be.
it's
I've
going to
never
be
even tried it.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Got to
yep,
try
never even
that.
tried that. Never even thought about that. But yeah,
You never know,
definitely.
right? And that's
Yeah.
toying with it, I think, is where everybody's at right now, learning how to prompt it and prompt it well. I know in terms of automating so many things, there's so many processes, and your business sounds like you're using a lot of 'em, especially if you're using spreadsheets.
Mhm.
Rather than
Yeah.
watching YouTube video, you don't have to do that anymore, right? Shave a lot of time, at least in those administrative tasks in the in office and
Hmm.
stuff like that, whether it's labels or whatever. It's utterly amazing. You can just talk to it and sort
That's
of like
crazy.
a,
I mean,
it's amazing.
I still feel very uneducated. I think that's a nice way of
Yeah.
saying what I'm thinking
Yep.
as far as how to use it,
Yep.
what advantages I have, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I've tried a couple different things, and the stuff it spits out of me, I'm sitting there going, okay, this might as well be lawyer talk, But
Right.
there's
Yeah.
other things where I'm just like, dadgum, that was sweet.
Yeah, I know, right? And you
I mean,
gotta
it
almost
really
like,
is.
"Are you sure?" And it'll go, "No, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I got that wrong." You're like, "Okay, well, now I don't know
yeah.
if I can trust you or not."
Correct, correct. I mean, and so my son, he uses it quite a bit. My son's 22. He uses it quite a bit, and he showed me one time his chat GPT, I guess, has gotten so
Familiar with
loose
him?
with him,
Yeah.
yeah, or familiar with him, that it literally just told him to F off one time. Like that was the whole line. I'm not
Wow.
even kidding. We screenshotted everything just because we were
Wow.
dying laughing.
Wow.
It literally just told him to go F off.
I've heard
I
that it
was
can
like,
get mad because
wow.
if you treat it like a machine, I know, it's like crazy, crazy.
And I'm sitting here going,
Yeah.
you're just talking to a program, right? I mean, this is not
Exactly, yeah, don't
anything
take
that,
it personal.
right. It's that part is absolutely wild.
It's
The
funny,
AI is
I would have never
it's getting
guessed
there,
this what you just said would be how I'd end the show.
right?
Talking about AI and what it just,
Yep.
a expletive it told someone. But, no, this has been great. I do need to wind things down here. Can you believe a
Sure.
half hour 31 minutes has already gone by. This
Yep.
is
Already.
crazy how
Yep.
fast time goes
Well,
when you're hearing good stories and stuff, and you really did a good job of pulling back the curtain and kind of, like, showing people, a lot about your business that they would never get if they were just to go to your website,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what I like. I know businesses have all these commonalities, but at the end of the day, when you really pull back the curtain, there's a lot of common themes, and there's
Yeah.
some great nuggets here for people. Rising tide lifts all ships, so hopefully that people can extract some good stuff and be inspired by your story as well. And
I'm sure.
and
It's awesome.
yeah, thank you so much for
Glad to be
being our
part of
guest
it.
today. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Hmm?